Good morning, everybody. Disclosure, this one will be a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but trust me, it's a great investment of your time. Today we're going to talk about the 10 ways to retain and empower your team. You know, as we talked about in prior videos, and we'll talk about in several more, the biggest expense to a company is turnover. So what we want to talk about is ways to empower and retain your team. So one, respect. Respect is a very interesting thing. It can't be an entitlement. You know, your team members know when there's respect that goes back and forth between the two of them. One, communication. You know, it's interesting with my company. I over communicate. However, I only communicate the things that actually affect the team. There's a lot of things we work on as owners of companies that are in the back that, you know, are working that they don't need to know about. But when it gets to that part where it needs to be, you know, given, I always like to share that part of it. You know, team members like to know what's going on with the company, what the vision is, little things that are working on. So make sure you communicate. And this is back and forth. You have to have an open policy for people to communicate with you and other team members. And that's something we'll talk about the 5 dysfunctions of a team in future tips. 2, feedback. I love feedback. But you know what? You have to be prepared that not all feedback is great feedback. Some feedback might be a negative feedback to you. But you have to be open to accept it. Because if not, you're actually hurting the culture of your team. There needs to be transparency. You need to develop. When I talk about develop, you know, a lot of people say, you know, I develop my team, I work with them on role playing and all that kind of fun stuff. But what about your operations team? Have you offered them like an Excel class that will make them better in Excel or Word or PowerPoint or something else? When we can help them develop as people themselves, such as financial planners, you know, offer, you know, Dave Ramsey's, you know, financial freedom. There's several different things that you can do to help develop them, not only to be of higher asset to your company, but also to personally develop them. Tools. You know, tools is an amazing word when I say this is how you can add value to your team and how you can retain your team and empower them. You can't expect them to work at 100% level if your tools only get them to 60. So you have to look, are your tools and your resources at that caliber? Can you increase tools and resources to make them better at what they do? If so, then you need to think of ways that you can increase tools, resources, availability, applications, whatever it comes down to. But you have to listen on the ground level. See, we're so disconnected from the process a lot of times that we shut our minds down or our thinking processes down because you know best. However, you're not on the ground level. And when you're not on the ground level, you're not seeing what's going on around you. So a lot of times we have to think open and go to each one of the departments and say, you know what, I challenge you to tell me the 3 things that will make your department better or more efficient or time effective for time management, higher results, whatever it comes down to. But you have to be open to that. Next is listen. Again, this goes down to you're not on the ground level all the time. And if somebody's on the ground level, you have to be open to listen to things that are going on. Great, not so great, and things that need to be changed. I don't have problems. I have unsolved opportunities. So when people come to me, I have big ears and I listen. However, I do ask this. If they come to me with something that's negative, then all I ask is they come to me with at least 1 to 2 solutions for it. That's all I ask. Next is leadership. There's a difference between being a CEO and being a leader. A leader are people that people want to follow. CEOs is a position with a company that's paid, an ownership. Leadership is people that want to follow a mentor. Giving back, you know, Leaders Without a Title. There's a great book, Leader Without a Title. You need to read the book too. It's an amazing book, and we'll be talking about that in future tips. So leadership, be a leader. Don't just be an owner. Don't just be the CEO. Don't be the founder. Whatever it comes down to, you have to be a leader. People want to follow you. Value in success. It's interesting. I always tell people, you're a great asset to the company. It makes people feel good. And depending on your personality type, I's and S's, really, if you put their name on the board, they love you. I'm employee of the month. Those are I's and S's. C's and D's are like, okay, that's great. What else? So value and success means that your company cannot be where it's at without the value of the team. If the team members succeed, if each team member succeeds and goes over what their goals or their expected results are, then the company rises just as high. So if we focus on the team member success, it automatically raises our success. Benefit programs. It's kind of interesting. I used to have an identity theft protection company. I had a lot of different companies, if you can't tell. But, I made this deal back to Snyder Trucking. Snyder Trucking is a huge trucking company. And identity theft protection is anywhere between $6 and $7 a month a person, sometimes more now. We're talking 10 years ago. But what it came down to was I went to Snyder Trucking and I said, you know what? I will offer every single truck driver a policy and the corporation pays $1 a month for that policy. Did I make any money on that policy? No, I didn't. I offered it as an HR benefit to show a benefit to the company, to their people. Really where I made the money on is when the truck driver wanted to add their spouse or their kids, just so you know the back part of it. So think about benefits. What's the benefits? Can you offer identity theft protection? Can you negotiate a group policy that you would be paying a benefit for something like that, especially in today's world? LifeLock, I think they have $1 million policy. There's so many different companies they can go to. So think about what the benefits are that you can help them with. Medical insurance is amazing. I personally offer 100% of my team members' policies. They pay the copay, but I pay 100% of the premiums. That's just something that I've done. I also use it as a huge benefit for recruiting. So think about that. And recognition programs. Recognition programs is very interesting. You can have team member of the month. You can have salesperson of the month. You can have operations person of the month. Recognition programs, what we do is we actually choose a nonprofit every single month and we make a donation to that. So what we do is we recognize a team member and say, you know what, today, this month, this is your nonprofit. And we're going to make a donation in behalf of you and the company to your favorite nonprofit. Now with that, depending on the time of the year or anything else, we don't want to just donate money, but we also donate time. So we want to work with, it's hard during the winter time here in Illinois, but as we're coming to spring and summer, we want to go work on a house. We want to gather 3 or 4 different companies around and we want to go paint a senior center or a school park, something. We want to help give value to the community, but it also recognizes the people within your company. So a lot of times it's not just money. A lot of times it's not just saying, hey, you did a great job. Truly, to be a great leader, you need to be walking the 4 corners of your office at least 2 to 3 times a day. When I say the 4 corners, when you take an office, you need to be walking the 4 corners of your office. Just stopping by saying hi. A lot of you have risen to such a grander level that you're not one-on-one with your people anymore. And sometimes it's nice to have that connection. Don't think it's just you. Just because you hire a general manager, or sales manager, or operations manager, they came to work for your company because of you. So make sure you are available for them. Several companies say, as a recognition program that you can go out to lunch or dinner with you or with somebody. You have to build what that is. So at the end of the day, respect, communication, feedback, develop tools, listen, leadership, value and success, benefits, and recognition program. Those are 10 ways to retain and empower your team. And if you think about it, not one of them are hard. The hardest part is you implementing them. I've now given you the tools. Now it's your job to implement it. You have an amazing day. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.